But let's bring in PFF's lead draft analyst, co-host of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. And what's going on? What's going on, Sycamore?
Hello, Kay. So good to be with you. Appreciate you having me on.
Always love having you because you make me smarter, and everybody that uses PFF is instantly smarter with all the facts and figures and the analysis, the sort of well-rounded 360 that you guys do. What is the bold prediction for this NFL season that you would be willing to tattoo on your forehead for the next 7 months?
Oh, okay. I think the one that has already made its way to Twitter, even though like my full article isn't out yet, is I think the Bengals have the best record in the NFL this year. I think that not only do they go from worst to first in the division, I'm thinking like 14 wins, honestly. And I know that's super high, but Joe Burrow is coming back. I think the offensive line is going to be better. The wide receiver trio is nasty with Jermaine Burton actually like playing the way that we thought that he could when he was at Alabama. He's already playing that way with Cincinnati. We already know that Lua Anarumo is a great defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, they have the 6th easiest schedule in the NFL. Depending on what metrics you're measuring, sometimes it's a top 5 easiest schedule in the NFL because they finished last place. And the 2 toughest teams outside of their division that they play, okay, they go to Kansas City, objectively hard, but if anybody's been able to do it over the course of the last 4 years, it's Burrow. And then they host the Philadelphia Eagles. So the 2 hardest games that they have are like still winnable for the Bengals standards. So it's crazy to predict a team to win 14 games, even with a 17-game schedule. But I did that with Cincinnati. So there we go.
Is the Chase thing throwing you off a little bit? I came on the show, I made the biggest case for like, it's fine, it'll be fine. And I've been a little less excited lately.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I think that obviously it all gets worked out. I don't think he's actually going to miss games. And if you take into account all the chemistry that he has with Joe Burrow going back to the LSU days, what we've already seen in the NFL, I think it's all very calculated, right? I think that Jamar Chase and his camp are basically saying, we don't need the practice reps. Like we basically, it's just at this point, it's just go out there on Sunday and make it happen. So I'm not saying that practice is totally overrated. I don't want coaches to yell at me or anything like that. But in Jamar Chase's instance, he's trying to get that new contract. He's trying to get it before he plays, and he risks more injury. So it's worth noting, I should say, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal.
I think it's burdensome on the team that it keeps going. That's what I think. I think that and that's not great when you're a team that wants to win the number that you're saying and then also have bigger, you have everything's there. He's healthy. Like you can't, like they don't need chemistry. They had it back to LSU, Joe. But there's new pieces. You got a new tight end in the world. Like everything does sort of matter. And I do think the longer it goes on, it sort of mucks with the "aren't we all here to win a Super Bowl" sort of vibe. And that's not being put on either side. But they got to get it. They got to get it done today. Like you guys got to get it done today. And I better hear that he was in the building today. I don't want to hear any of that later today. I want to, and I think he will be. I think he's like in meetings doing his thing. That's what the Jamar Chase I know and love. But kind of a fluidy situation there in Bengals land, and hopefully they go and win the Super Bowl. Anyway, you are the draft expert at PFF. Jacoby Brissett, named the starter in New England. You've always been a Drake May man. You said you would have taken him second overall in the draft. Is there a situation that you see Mayo scrapping the plan and putting the Rookster in?
Clearly, they're not going to do that for week 1, right? Mm-hmm. And I sort of looked at Drake May's situation in the preseason, and I said to myself, okay, he looks like he's ready. He looks like, no, it's not perfect, but I think the things that he would need to work through, some of the footwork, some of getting to his reads a little bit faster, like all of that will come with repetition. We then saw on the positive side, a lot of the big time throws. I mean, just the overall arm talent, what he could be with his legs, like so much of what we already wanted to see from Drake May, we did see this preseason. So from Drake May's perspective, I think that you could have started him out of the gate in week 1. What worries me, and I think probably what worries the Patriots too, is the offensive line. And I think that's probably why they don't want to throw him out there quite yet. Mm-hmm. I think people got to remember this too. 3 out of the first 4 games that the Patriots play are on the road. And the one game that they host is the Seattle Seahawks in week 2. But then the 4 weeks after that, weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8, all 4 of those games are at home. So I feel as though the plan right now might be, let's get the veteran out there. Let's kind of organize the offense. Let's get the offensive line figured out. And then when we can rattle off 4 straight home games, we could put Drake May in favorable situations. And I think that might be an easy way to ease him in to their starting lineup this year.
Will it be better than people think?
Are the Patriots specifically? It depends what you think, but I'm not super high on him. I'm just not. It's obviously going to take him. It's going to take a big rebuild from this team. The wide receiver group is very young. I like them a lot, but they are still very young. I mentioned we got to figure out the offensive line.
Yeah.
You got to get the guys healthy on the defensive side as well. I think they got talent there, but it's going to take a little bit of time. The division's really tough, so
yeah. I want to know the over. Last
team.
time I checked, this was before training camp, so it was like 6.5, 4.5. What? Let's look at FanDuel. Hold on, my control room's looking it up. I was banging the over though, because I was like, I just think they'll have a top 5 defense, but then they traded Judon, and now I'm like, I don't know if you have a top 10 defense. 4.5. 4.5 is what?
I kind of think that's a good number.
Wow.
I'm with your people at FanDuel. I kind of think that's a good number. I look at 4 or 5 wins for the Patriots. If you win like 6 or 7 games in New England this year, hats off to Jerome Mayo. I mean, that's an unbelievable job. And I'm not going to say that he'd do a bad job if they win 4 to 5 games, but that's just sort of the nature of where you are as a franchise. You're still reeling a little bit in ways from Tom Brady's departure, let alone Bill Belichick's departure. And so it's just going to take a little bit of time. You drafted the guy that you wanted to. I also love the receivers they drafted. So I think they took steps in the right direction this offseason. But division, they're not going to take it. That division's not going to take it easy on you just because they think you're going the right direction. And that's tough.
Week 1 at the Bengals. So we'll see. You're a Tampa guy. Let's get into these Bucs. No pitiful 4.5 line there for them. They were 9-8 last year. They win the division. But I got to tell you, I didn't get to visit Tampa. I got to visit the Falcons, though. They made all the moves. They've got some energy. They are the favorites. They're getting all the buzz. How much sleeping on the Bucs is going on?
I think a good amount, honestly. And I don't think that they're getting enough credit at this point from the consistency that they've had really over the last 3 or 4 years. And that goes back to the Tom Brady era as well. But how well they were able to navigate Tom Brady retiring again, bring in Baker Mayfield, get things put together with a first-time play caller and offensive coordinator in Dave Canales. Like, for them to be able to go 9-8 last year and win the division, I think it's just a testament to what kind of a general manager Jason Light is, what kind of a cap guru that Mike Greenberg is, and just how healthy that team and that roster is set up, not just at the top, but throughout. It's so, when guys leave or when guys get hurt, they have players who can step up. And obviously they've got some great veterans who have been around for a long time and they're still there. I believe that the consistency and depth that Tampa has, that familiarity is going to mean a lot more than people are giving it credit for. And like you said, Vegas, everybody out there, FanDuel, they're saying, hey, the over-under for the Falcons is much higher than it is for the Bucs. I think that the end of this season, it's a lot closer than people think. And genuinely, I think that Tampa could win this division again because of how consistent that team is.
So they're beating out the Falcons.
I have them right. The final prediction that I had for this team, I had both teams at 10-7, and I had Tampa winning the tiebreaker to win the division again. Yes.
Wow, love to see it. Another bold prediction, and your article will be out. I don't know when you're teasing it like it's like a Taylor Swift in the middle of the night album over at pff.com. When is this bad boy getting posted?
I don't know. I don't know if it's Friday. I don't know if it's Monday. It's sometime. You'll just have to stay tuned for it. Yeah. I want you on pins and needles. I want you on the edge of your seat. That's what we're trying to do over at PFF. Just get that Taylor Swift hype.
Well, you gave some Easter eggs though. One of them was this: Raiders is a top 5 defense. That perked my ear. I know Max Crosby can make this, I guess, a top 5 thing on his own. Is that what you're thinking? How do you see this? I mean, why do you think that? And what does it mean for the AFC West?
I mean, it's pretty much just like all of the elements that we're seeing right now in Las Vegas. Do I think their offense is going to be great? It's going to be a little bit of a work in progress there, obviously, with the quarterback battle. Gardner Minshew is going to start the season. You got Devontae Adams, but I think it's a lot of other pieces that you got to get figured out on offense when it comes to the pass catchers and everything like that. But on the defensive side of the football, this group was better than I think people are giving it credit for going into this season, especially after Antonio Pierce took over. This is a top 10 unit last year in total scoring defense. They were top 10 in total PFF grade. The EPA per play was a little bit lower, but it was still top 20. Now you're adding, Jack Jones, I think, is going to have a big year at corner. He was so confident in the preseason, had an elite coverage grade, an interception. He just looked like he could be a shutdown player for them in the secondary, which they very much need. You mentioned Max Crosby, who does not get enough love when we talk about the best edge rushers in the NFL. Like, we talk about it. It's always the big four, right? It's Myles Garrett, it's TJ Watt, it's Micah Parsons, it's Nick Bosa. Deservingly so. Throw Myles Garrett's name in, or throw Max Crosby's name into that conversation. It is a big five in the NFL. But then they had Christian Wilkins. Malcolm Koonce had a great year last year, and he's going to have an even better year this year. You're adding some players, the linebacker as well. You got Trayvon Merrick in the back end, and then obviously it's Antonio Pierce setting the tone the entire week leading up. I think this could be a top 5 defense in the NFL. I think
I would agree with you, and they would have success. We saw Christmas Day against KC. I just gotta stick them a point. Yeah, point of confidence.
Good point.
It's true, but I will say I would have been like, I'm like eating everything you're feeding me. I'm like, what? The doll at practice, you lose me. Like I just feel like that is going to come back home to roost, don't you? Like I just feel like do it. I did not enjoy that, so I don't know if that success will come against Patrick and company. I don't think he quite enjoyed that very much either.
Yeah, there's just no reason to do that. You just don't. No bulletin board material. No bulletin board material. That's the motto of every head coach. Don't do it. So, yeah, that might come back to bite him.
That might come back to bite him, but they'll be a top 5 defense regardless. Now, I'm being told in my ear that what did Trent Williams post on? I thought it was Debo. Okay, let's take a look at this. So this just in. So. Yeah, we know Shanahan said, like, we're preparing to battle. We know that John Lynch said at some point you got to play. Ayuk, Trent Williams, this is on Debo's Instagram story. Trent Williams has allowed 1 sack in his last 983 pass blocking snaps. What do you make of San Francisco? What do you make? There's a lot. There's a lot going on. But I got to tell you, Trev, like, I went there and I had no worries. I was like, yeah, your best player isn't playing and BA is on the sideline, and there's apparently like a blow up that happened, but I didn't feel like this team isn't going to be in the NFC Championship game. I just didn't get that feeling.
One, we absolutely love player-driven Instagram story NFL news. That is what we absolutely love. The ambiguity, it's mysterious, it's provocative, it gets the people going. But I always love when these little things just spice up what we see on the news timeline. But I'm not worried about the San Francisco 49ers either. They are the most talented team in the NFL. We do a lot of rankings over at PFF during the summer because, we got to write about something. And, we'll write about running back rankings going into the year, quarterback rankings, offensive line rankings, receiving core in general, whatever it is. The Niners are like number 1 in every category, it feels like. They're number 1. They had the best running back group. They had the best receiving core. They had one of the best offensive lines. They've got an incredible defense as well. There is so much going for this team, and there is so much talent. It's an unbelievable job by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan getting these guys all together. But this is the other side of the coin, if you will. You can get all these players on your team, but now when it comes to pay them, you often can. I think that's the balance of competitiveness when it comes to the salary cap era. And of course, Deebo Samuel wants Trent Williams out there. It's because he wants a Super Bowl, and Trent Williams gives you the best chance to get that Super Bowl. So we will see. Obviously, that situation, the Brandon Ayuk situation, I think they are very tied together. But no doubt about it, like you said, even without those two guys, which is crazy to say, this is still a roster that is talented enough to be a postseason team.
They can't win it without Trent, so I think Trent has leverage. I also think Trent, you don't want to mess with Trent. Trent will lose the money. He's lost $3+ million. I'm sure he'll get that put into his contract, and he won't actually pay any of it that he's missed through this training camp or preseason. But he's not a guy that, like, he will play chicken. He's not playing chicken. He will call your bluff. Like, he will not show up, and he's that great. So the leverage for Trent doesn't seem there. I'm hoping, and this whole time I've been hoping, like, he just wants to show up on Monday, like Tuesday, rather. He wants his Labor Day weekend. He's somebody who does not have to go through the doldrums of a training camp. He just doesn't. He does not. So he can show up and sort of make an impact. I don't think that they should be the favorites if they don't have him playing. So they'll see what happens there, but I think it'll be fine. They are the favorites at +300. Lions and Eagles are next, both at +550. Who do you think has what it takes to upset the Niners' return to the Super Bowl in New Orleans?
I think it is the Detroit Lions, and I think that team is just it's so stacked. Like going back to what I was talking about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just the continuity and the chemistry that the Lions have. I think they got better in their roster overall. They're adding guys like DJ Reader. They added 2 great rookies. I felt like in Ennis Rakestraw Jr. and Terrion Arnold, they trade for Carlton Davis, a veteran corner who's won a Super Bowl before in Tampa Bay. You already had great safety play last year. The linebackers were good. I heard you mention in your fantasy segment that you've got Jamison Williams playing his best year yet. I also also agree. I think that is coming for him. You throw him into a group with Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and obviously the chemistry that Jared Goff has with Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator. That's one of the best play caller quarterback duos that we have in the league, because we saw it last year. So it's just you then get one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Okay, where's the weakness? Where's the weakness with this Lions team? And so for as stacked as I think the 49ers are, it just kind of feels like the Lions' year. And I really want this Lions team to stay healthy, because it would be such a shame if something happened where we had to look at this year and go, what if this guy didn't get hurt with Detroit? I want to see the version of this Detroit Lions team at its ceiling. And I want to see if that's enough to beat the San Francisco 49ers, to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, to win a Super Bowl for the first time since the Super Bowl era for Detroit, because I think that's possible.
It is the pick of the people of the sports media world, is the Lions to go and wreck shop and make it to the Super Bowl. It'd be fantastic to see them do that. I'm looking at PFF fantasy football, right? Rankings. You mentioned fantasy football. This is, they do it all at PFF. You've got the players' performance data, matchups, trends, preseason utilization, all of the little things, all the relevant factors. You guys take that all into account. Is there a fantasy stud or two that you want to put out there into the world, a value, anybody that you're super interested in?
So I don't know if I don't know how much Nathan Yonke, who is just a wizard, a brilliant dude who has all the rank. I don't know how much he would agree with me on this one, because I didn't consult with him. But when I've been doing fantasy mock drafts, I don't think Saquon Barkley is going as high as he should have. And maybe I'm in the wrong leagues. Like, maybe it's just, I look at Saquon Barkley and he's already produced for the Giants, which did not have a great offensive line, did not have a great passing game. And now he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I look at him as sometimes Saquon Barkley even gets out of the first round in drafts that I have done. And I think that's kind of crazy. I think anybody that'd be picking, 9th or 10th, he's got that back-to-back in a snake draft, you should absolutely be snagging this guy, because he goes from one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL to one of the best. So I think he's going to be incredibly productive.
Everyone's face just was lighting up when I was in Philly. Just every player's face. Just wait till everyone's happy that they don't have to tackle him once preseason's over and training camp is over. He's going ahead. Would you take him over Derrick Henry?
Yeah, probably. You literally just watched me go back and forth in my head, but yes, I think I'd take him over.
Because this is what happens. Like, I look at Kirk Cousins is going 95th at quarterback wide, but then you look at who he's going ahead of. So let's figure this out. So Saquon's going 16th overall. He's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th at the running back spot. This on PFF. He's going ahead of Derrick Henry, ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. No, he's going after Derrick Henry, after Jahmyr Gibbs. You would take Jahmyr Gibbs.
That one's tight. In the times that I have done, because I'm picking 10th in my fantasy draft for one of my leagues, and every time I do a mock draft, I feel like the most common result for my first and second round picks with the back-to-back is I take Jahmyr Gibbs and I take Saquon Barkley. So I don't know actually who I would take before. I think I'd take Saquon. For as great as I think the Jahmyr is going to be, I feel as though Detroit's always going to want it to be a by committee, or at least a partnership, a split type of backfield there, whereas Saquon Barkley, I think, could get a lion's share of carries, even with Jalen Hurts maybe vulturing a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, and you have Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, and Christian McCaffrey. I'm taking, out of all of, Saquon's the best value for sure, but Bij... Yeah. I feel more comfortable taking than Christian for some reason. I don't know why. I know that Tyler might poach some carries and it's like new and whatever. Sorry, Bucks guy. But Jonathan Taylor to me is my favorite pick there. I just think they're gonna run the ball all of the time, and he's amazing. And I think 2,000 yards are in store for JT. Yeah.
Ooh, there's your bold prediction. I like it.
That's my.
You want to write for us? You want to write the bold prediction article? I don't have to do it next year. You can just do it for us.
Absolutely not. But I keep refreshing the PFF page, seeing if the album was released by Trevor Sycamore. We'll see when it is, and you guys can check that out over at pff.com. What else do you guys have going on there before we let you go?
Man, a lot of stuff. I'm doing a lot of draft stuff. So if you at any point in this in this NFL season ever want to kind of dip your toe in the water of what could be the 2025 NFL draft, we got you. Obviously, it's fantasy season though, so the fantasy tools, they are alive and well. You can actually sync your league and the rules and the roster size and everything up to our fantasy mock draft simulator. Run a fantasy mock draft there, and then of course during the season, Nathan's got you with all the great rankings, all the trends, basically everything that you're going to need to win your fantasy league. So all that good stuff and more.
you. And we'll hear Chris Collinsworth dropping those PFF references pretty soon. The countdown to the NFL season is here. Trevor, you're incredible. Congrats on the engagement, by the way.
Thank you, Kay. I appreciate it.
Somebody was telling me something in my ear about a ring. There's no ring yet, right? You're engaged. What's going on?
So I have one,
okay.
And I realized when I went on a different show last week that by showing that, people think that I'm married, but in reality, it was just a fun little thing where I gave my fiance an engagement ring. She's like, whoa, hold on. Why am I the only one that gets a ring? I should get you a ring to make sure people know that you're taken as well. And so she kind of proposed to me actually as well after I proposed to her. So it was a fun, cute little thing.
Why is my producer in my ear saying 117-week engagement? What is that?
Because we got engaged 2 years ago and we've been deciding what we want to do between football season, baseball season, basketball season. And so now we finally actually are getting married in the spring of next year. And we are very, very excited about it.
You look excited about it. Congrats to you and Alyssa. And I like that move. I think more people should adopt that move. You put a ring on your finger too, buddy. We love it. Congratulations on all the success. And check out the article sometime on PFF where you can get loads of information. We will definitely talk ahead of the draft and always appreciate getting an education from Trevor Sikkema. After this, Shaq Barrett. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe right here to get the latest from the show and check out more of the best clips from Up and Adams, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FanDuel.